Well, hello everyone. Today we're going to be talking about like how we can solve for our sums and our differences through this idea of noting vocabulary. This is really something that comes along with story problems or word problems, right? Story or word problems. And what we can really start to notice is that operations in math, right? Operations, which are the four main things we do in math. So that would be addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Those all those have vocabulary words that help us connect to them. I mean, for example, already like sums themselves, right? That's the answer to an addition problem. And differences, those are the answers to subtraction problems. But we're going to start to see how certain words also can mean to add or subtract. So when we're reading a story problem or a word problem, we can say, oh, like, okay, I noticed this key vocabulary word. This is going to help me think about what math I'm going to do to help us solve the problem. So let's dive in and explore this a little bit today and start here somewhere. There we go. So our first story says the SeaTac Airport has 67,981 flights every day. So far, 43,987 flights have left. How many more flights are going to leave today? Right? So let's kind of first start to think about what we're noticing here. And I actually am a big fan of kind of modeling this out. And what it's saying is that every day, right? Put a little model. Every day it's this many. This is like the total. This is the total amount every day of flights. And they're like, well, but up until this point, right? Up until this point, I have 43,987 have gone. So, right, like what's this missing chunk? Like how many more do we have to do, right? How many more? How many more? Well, if I really then start to think about that, so there's some key vocabulary, like how many blank, and in this case, like how many more, I can start to think about, well, this bigger picture, right? Then this goes back to like first and second grade, because actually what I drew here is that like part total, right? Remember those? Remember those? You would do this, draw these like boxes, and you'd say, you know, oh, I have a 10 here, and one part's 5, and the other part's 5, right? Part total. That's really what this is. I have this total, 67,981, and one of the parts is 43,987. So what's the other part? Well, to help me solve that other part, we can just find the difference. We can just find we can do subtraction. We have 67,981 is what we need to. So far, we've used this many. So how many remain? All right, well, let's start in our ones place. And we can see here I started with a 1 and I'm trying to take 7 away. That will not work. So let's decompose a 10 and turn that into 10 ones. So 10 ones plus the one I already have. I have 11 ones. So 11 minus 7, that's going to get me 4. 7 minus 8, that's not going to work, right? 7 tens minus 8 tens, that doesn't work. So I'm going to decompose this 100. Add 10 tens to the 7 I have. So that's 17. So 17 minus 8, that's going to get me 9. 8 minus 9, this doesn't work either. Thanks for all the regrouping. So let's decompose this 1,000, making this 1800s. 1800s minus 900s would be 900s. 6,000 minus 3,000, I can do that. That's 3. And 6 10,000s minus 4 10,000s gets me 2. So I'm going to notice that I have 23,900. Wow. 23,994. And again, this is a story problem, so I got to make sure that that's my work, but my real answer is 23,994 flights. Right? Remember that key vocabulary word. Okay, so right there, again, that term, how many something. In this case, even though it says how many more, I am using subtraction because we can see in the model why. So there's some key vocabulary. How many blank? I'll probably have to start thinking, oh, how many blank, how many more, how many less, how many fewer, how many whatever, how much taller, like those kind of things to me sound like subtraction because I'm looking at the difference. So that's one thing to keep in mind. So let's look at this next one. It says, Mr. Shag, I know that guy. He biked 11,932 miles last year. So far, he has biked 9,453 miles this year. Not bad for November. I'll give it to him. He's got another couple of months to get those miles up. How many miles combined has Mr. Shadid biked over these past 2 years? Okay, so again, I want to think about what this is saying to me, right? What I heard is I have this 11,932. That was last year. And then so far this year, and we'll just call it what it is, even though there's no time, right? Just kidding. Right, it's 9,453, and it wants to know combined. So I am thinking about, right, that total, part total. So I do want to know what are these two combined. And if I'm going to combine or put something together, to me, that is definitely saying addition. So I'm going to take 11,932 and I'm going to put it together or combine it with 900 or 9,453. So I'm going to add those. It's an 8, 13, carry the 1, 9, 10, 11. So that means I have 21,385 miles. That's my final answer because it's got a label on it. So there's that word combined to me. Combined. When I see that word, I can start thinking about addition because that's what we did in the model. So, right? So let's kind of look at that some more with vocabulary. This is like a loose list. There's so many more words. So like, I'm definitely going to say like pause it and look at this because I'm going to skip through this and move on in a second. But there are words that tell us we're going to do certain things. For example, in addition, when we're adding numbers, like combined, we just saw that. Sum, we should know that by now, right? Let's make sure we know the sum of two numbers is what happens when we add them together. All together, I just said together, all together works, total. Again, these aren't all the words for addition. These are some to be paying attention to. So I really encourage you as you do more work, like be looking for words and be thinking about what they mean. If we are subtracting, you can see we have less than, we have difference. That's another key one, like the difference of two numbers is what happens when you subtract them. More than or blank than, right? We just talked about those. And fewer. So these are like words to be thinking about with subtraction. Again, these aren't the only words. There's many, many more. So I don't want you feeling like this is all there is, right? This list grows all year long. Okay, so let's continue and let's take it into this one. It says, Mr. Candidate got 145,785 votes for an election. Miss Future got 345,987 votes. How many fewer votes did Mr. Candidate get? Okay, so how many fewer votes? So again, fewer kind of pops out to me. And then I kind of want to think what's happening here, right? We're comparing how many Mr. Candidate got to how many Miss Future got. And we want to know, again, in a sense, the difference. So if I think about that model, I'm comparing. So here's Future. Here's Ms. Future. Right? And she got this many. And then if we were to compare this, right? I mean, I can already see this is a smaller number. So this is going to be Mr. Candidate. I'm going to call him Mr. C. 145,785. Right. So again, this question is asking like, what's going on here, right? What's the difference here? How many fewer did he get? How many fewer did he get than Ms. Future? So again, this is one of those things where I see I have a total. I have one part. I need to find the other part. So that means I am going to subtract my two numbers. So fewer, and we saw that on the list, is another word that can help me think about subtraction. So we have 345,987. We're going to take 145,785 away. And we're going to see the difference. We're going to see what this section is. How many more he would have had to have gotten to tie her, right? That's how many fewer he got. So ones place, 7 minus 5, I can do that. There gets me 2 ones. 8 tens minus 8 tens is 0 tens. 9 hundreds minus 7 hundreds is 2 hundreds. 5,000 minus 5,000 is 0 thousands. 4,000, oh, this is great. 4 10,000s minus 4 10,000s is 0 10,000s. And 3 100,000s minus 1 100,000, 100,000, oh boy, will get me 200,000. And there we have it. Miss Future got 200,202 more votes than Mr. Candidate. So she has been elected. Congratulations, Miss Future. Now, final answer again, I got to make sure I have my number and then a label. And the question said how many fewer votes. So 200,202 votes. Okay, so I'm going to flip back to this list as we wrap up. This is the work that we're doing. How do we use vocabulary words to help us solve problems? So I encourage you to be looking for these words to help you get going. And then the more you work on math and the more you look at some of these words, the more it's going to click and you're going to say, oh, yeah, like something in your brain is going to say, oh, yep, that means I'm going to subtract, or oh, that word definitely means I'm going to add. So as always, keep up the good work. Thank you for being here. And I look forward to seeing all the wonderful work that you produce.